Hello everyone, welcome to the TSL Grand Finals. But before we get on into things, please, of course, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe as the notification bar does say down below. But that's all we gotta do. Let's get on into this game, and spawning in the upper right, in the blue, he has not dropped a series this entire tournament thus far in the upper bracket. He is, for Team Clash, the world champion, REYNOR. And his opponent spawning in the bottom left, in the red, for the Afrika Freaks, from Korea, Trap. Now, normally as we get on into the game, I would discuss players' results, how they've done in this tournament thus far, but we will be covering many more of the matches that happen in this tournament. This is just one of the first that gets covered because it's the grand finals. So no spoilers here, none today. Just know that REYNOR, he's up 1-0 because he did come from the winner's bracket. And that does mean that he does get that one map advantage. It effectively turns this match into a best of 6, but a tie goes to REYNOR. That's how that one does work. Maximum of 6 maps, though. And with hope, we're going to get all 6 of them. Because, of course, Trap is... I'm not even sure it's arguably at this point. Trap is the greatest PvZ player in the world at this point. He created the Void Ray build that won him 2 tournaments at the start of the year and showed Protoss that there is a way to deal with just the pure Zerg dominance that we've been seeing in the competitive matches for most of 2019, most of 2020, maybe less so 2021, because Trap has built this, has designed this. But still, there is no question that Protoss is by far, again, before 2021, has the least amount of tournament victories of anyone. They got a lot of second places, but they always seem to run into that final roadblock of a REYNOR, of a Serral, of a Maru. Until Trap came along and said, yes, there is a way to make this happen. I will open up into a Warp Gate before Stargate. And I will still go that Stargate build. I'll get Void Rays. It's going to be a whole time. Now, of course, the meta has evolved since then, since the start of 2021, when Trap was just doing that. And he obviously had forks in the road off of what he was doing, but the meta has evolved. As we see here, by the way, this is going to be a Twilight opener, not even the Stargate. So maybe we'll talk about Stargate openers when it actually happens, because I'm sure it will absolutely happen in this series. It's one of the few safe ways so you don't have to get damage done to open up. But now, this is going to be a Twilight Glaives, or a Twilight Council, a Glaive opener, coming on in from REYNOR in this game number 1. And I'm of 2 minds about it. Because on the one hand, this build doesn't really work. At least the Glaives version doesn't. And it really doesn't work when the Zerg scouts it. But on the other hand, going for this build and just kind of accepting a map loss is kind of like a Zerg going for a 12 pool and accepting that they're probably more likely than not they're not gonna win that game either. What it does is it opens up the door. It says, look, you have to be afraid of this build for the rest of the series. You can't get too greedy, because I'm just going to throw it out there and you're going to be very sad. Hey, look, the Adept goes in, gets 1 worker immediately, which is 1 worker more than it usually would. So really what we're going to have to see here is, does Trap actually kill REYNOR with this? Because I want to say probably 97 games out of 100, the Zerg holds with flying colors, runs across the map with Roaches, Raptors, Lings, and says, yeah, no, that build does not work anymore. It worked for Zest and Katowice until Rogue solved it, but this has been solved for a year now. Little over a year. So we're going to have to see. But we do have a third base on the way here for Trap at 350. So he does, of course, have an economic outing of this. And this is actually something that's rather interesting. And it's something that we've started to see as a way to play this build over the last, I want to say, 2 to 3 weeks, where you don't go 4-gate, right? The traditional build that Zest has gone for, all of these builds, is a 4-gate Glaive Adept timing. You do something out of it. Maybe you go for an Immortal timing after that. That's what Zest was doing originally. Maybe you go for Disruptors, as Zoun likes to do, or you go for a third base. But Trap is not doing any of that. This is the least committed version of this build, much like we saw, 4-gate Blink was the thing, and like 1-gate Blink or 2-gate Blink was the thing, and then Party was like, hey, 3-gate Blink, that's a pretty decent middle ground. We're seeing something similar happen now, where this is 3-gate Glaives. It does not require the same amount of damage to be valuable as 4-gate Glaives, but it forces a similar response. That being said, we don't have a Roach Warren here for REYNOR. In fact, I think he thought that maybe Trap wasn't actually going to commit to things because he's like, yeah, I scouted this. Why in the world would I pay attention to this? And that may in fact be his undoing as the Adepts find their way on into the natural. 2 workers go down immediately. Now, we will have Shades going into the main base, but again, this build is not super committal, but what it does do is it looks to tear REYNOR apart. It's not the big ball of Adepts everywhere, but it does send Adepts into the 3rd base as well, as that's where we're seeing the majority of this damage happen right now. 10, 11 workers are going down, and this was not a lot of Adepts. This is 8 Adepts for 13 workers, 23 Lings. Absolutely worthwhile here. Now these 3 Adepts, they will be able to get on out because they already have their glaives out there. Maybe one will, yeah, one will go down at the expense of all of these queens. But 12 workers have died. REYNOR now, he's down 13 workers. And already, Trap, he has his 3rd base up and mining. No gas from it yet, that's fine. But he has Charge on the way. He has Templar Archives on the way. He's going to have Charge Lot Storm Archon rather quickly. So I like this, what REYNOR's doing. He's like, okay, look. I'm not going to have the beef that I need to beat you down, to batter the hatches down here in this game. It's going to be too damn difficult. What I will do, though, is I'm going to play some asynchronous tech. I'm going to go for Aspire here, and I'm going to look to drag you to death across this map, force you to defend the natural, the 3rd, and the main at the same time, and just make life rather difficult indeed. Because, again, he's not going to win in a straight-up fight. It's going to take too long for him to build an army before he can fight what Trap is going to have with the Storm and with the Archons and the Charge. Although, this may just be for Archons, and Trap may just be going for a massive push, and the longer it takes for him to get his gas on his 3rd, that's more and more what it looks like here. So Archons are morphing on in. Charge is 2/3 of the way done. And it looks like Trap is absolutely getting ready for that timing, looking for that punish off of what he did in the earlier game. And REYNOR seems to have scouted this. He knows that the Archons are here, and you do not get Archons unless you're getting ready to push. So he sees the Archons. He sees the lack of gas on the 3rd base until just now, and he's like, okay, I need something. So Roach Warren is on the way, but is not done yet. And we already have Trap's army moving across the map here with the Warp Prism as well. So that means that the army, small though it be yet, will rapidly get larger, will rapidly come into a force that is going to be difficult for REYNOR to deal with. And Zealots are already charging in. How much army do we have? We have 24 Zerglings. That's just about it here. REYNOR, he's hoping, he's praying for some larvae to get some roaches, but that's just going to be a little bit too little too late here. Zerglings looking for a surround, but Zerglings are perhaps the worst unit against Sentry Archon or Sentry Archon Zealot. So Zealot's already going to get on top of the Queens, and it looks like Trap's got it. GG, game 1 goes to the Protoss player from Korea. And here we are once again in game number 2. 1-1 now, and spawning in the bottom right in the blue, he is, well, for Clash Esports, REYNOR. And his opponent taking game number 2 in a quick and dirty slugfest, he is, for the Freak of Freaks, Trap. Now here's a question we must ask ourselves as we get on into game 2 or game 3 and onwards. Is this game 2 or is this game 3? It's the second game that's played, but technically it's map 3. At least by score, it's map 3. So I don't know, but we're gonna keep calling it whatever we call it, and context will tell you all what exactly is happening, because my goal as a commentator is not to enlighten, is not to explain things, is to make everyone as confused as humanly possible. Because, you know, if I can do that, then well, then I'm confused, we're all confused. It's a fun time indeed. Now, game 2, it's on a smaller map, right? Lightshade is a good deal smaller than what Trap and REYNOR had to deal with on the previous map in the previous game. And that may paradoxically mean that the game goes longer. Because something we see often, right, is there's this idea that normally short maps lead to short games, right? They lead to aggressive options. You go from there. And on a map like Beckett, absolutely, right? You're not serving yourself well if you're not doing that. But on a map like, well, on a map like Lightshade that does have this choke through the middle of the map, it is certainly shorter. But the bases are in such a situation that you can get away with doing the whole, my opponent expects me to be aggressive, so I'm not going to be aggressive. I'm going to be defensive, and he's going to be defensive because he expects me to be aggressive. Therefore, we're going to be greedy. So there we go. Stargate is on the map, and once again, this is Warp Gate into Stargate. And it should be noted that Trap is like the only player in the world that still plays this style. Everyone else, they played with it. They said, oh, Trap's got this really cool idea. I don't know. I want to go back into Warpgate or Stargate into Warpgate. I want to get that Oracle fast. But Trap, he is sticking by his guns. As REYNOR will get a Zergling on into the main base. And so he will get a full scout. He's like, okay, there's a Stargate here, despite the fact that my scouting is maybe a little bit less complete because this was, again, Warpgate into Stargate. It means you can't just look at that 2:30 timing and say, hey, is there Warpgate by now? Okay, Stargate. Or no Stargate if there's Warpgate by then. Or I guess 2:25 timing. So that does make life a little bit more difficult for the Zerg, but hey, you get a Zergling on in through the wall, suddenly that doesn't matter. And of course, this will be a Void Ray first here for Trap, as he is playing that style that won him 2 tournaments at the start of the year, that allowed him to beat Cyril. So no one should be surprised by this. But what I am really interested in is how REYNOR opts to respond. Because their traditional response to this, right, assuming that Trap does go for the 6 Void Ray opening, which really we don't see as much anymore, is, I mean, you go up to 45 workers, 42, 47, something like that. You walk across the map with 6 to 7 queens, a bunch of roaches, a bunch of ravagers, and you go to town. But, well, we've seen pro wrestlers start to go really quickly into ground as a response to that. We're just going to have to see exactly what REYNOR goes for here as, well, 2 drones will go down, but 2 drones for 2 adepts. It's never really the trade you're looking for. Really what you're looking for is 2 for 4. Right? 2 adepts for 4 workers. And you say, okay, I consider that worthwhile. At this point, that's a negative trade for the Protoss players. The Oracle, though, will fly on in. And the Queens are kind of out of position here. So Trap, of course, with top 1 Oracle control, should be able to get a lot. But it will only be 4 workers just now. But honestly, 4 workers, 6 in total. I don't think he's upset with that, especially considering his 3rd base is just about halfway done here. 2nd Stargate is on the way. And this will be the committed 6 Void Ray opener, which is, again, that's interesting. This is not something that we've seen nearly as much. It's really something that's kind of fallen out of the meta over the last, I don't know, month or so, as Zerg players, they just keep hitting the Soul Stroll, or keep hitting it with the Soul Stroll, and Protoss players, just, it makes them sad. Well, REYNOR, for his part, does not look like he's going for that build. We have a Lair on the way, and yeah, there's a Roachborn. Sure, Roachborn around the timing that you look for a Queen Walk like that, but you don't get Lair if you're going for a Queen Walk. At least not the most all-in versions. And how many Queens do we even have? We do have 7, and 2 more on the way, going up to 9. But really, that's what you need regardless of whether this is an aggressive option, whether this is a defensive option. You just need to make sure that there are enough Queens to dissuade the Void Rays from running across the map and, say, sniping a 4th base, sniping a spawning pool, sniping a gas, something like that. Maybe even a Lair. You see that happen on the rare occasion. But again, this is not the insanely committed Stargate build where you go and you just get you get even +1 air and you just really commit hard to it. Now we get +1 ground on the way. There was a Twilight done. I don't think I've seen any tech come out from it yet. But at this point, we just have 2 players powering up, content to say, okay, you're going to give me space. I'm going to give you space. I'm going to do damage at the edges. I'm going to knock some Overlords down. I'm going to knock a scouting adept or 2 down. But in general, I'm not going to do much. And actually, so I like this here from REYNOR. This is something that he has started to do as his next generation response to this Stargate opening. Because he understands, as does Trap, that the goal of this Stargate opening is to get into true Sky Toss ASAP, or Carrier Storm is really the end of the game, is really the end goal here. And one good way to prevent that from happening is going mutas. And you might say, why would you go mutas against double Stargate, right? The Phoenixes are going to be fast. Well, you're trying to force Phoenix, because Phoenix builds are not carriers, and then you force the game into that old Heart of the Storm favorite where you go Phoenix Void Ray against Muta Corruptor. And REYNOR is incredibly good at that style. It is something that he has dominated with, at least in the Open Cups, over the last month or so. He's really showing the worth of it, the validity of it. So I'm excited to see if that's what he does here, and if Trap decides to respond in that way, or whether he just really does commit to the ground style, gets a bunch of Blink Stalkers, gets, multiple cannons and shield batteries in his bases, and just says, look, you got mutas, great, I'm gonna have like 7 Archons, you're just never gonna be able to fight me. Because of course that is an option, but there we go, 6 mutas on the way. REYNOR's got gas for another 3 to 4 more, but no, he's just building more roaches, so it's really only gonna be 7 mutas here. I'm used to the 13 meter swing, and actually we might see that after all his 9 meters are now on the way. But Trap is not interested in giving Reynor that opportunity. We do have, well, we have Archons on the way, some charge slots as well. +1 ground attack is done, and this is a rather powerful timing that Trap is looking to hit. A timing that will most likely force Reynor to use those meters that he is so heavily invested in such a way that really they won't find nearly as much value because, hey, it is 3 Archons. So now we have the Queens coming to the fore. How many Queens do we even have? 12 Queens on the map right now. And actually, with these Roaches and the Queens, the Mutas will not have to fight. So the Mutas will find these charge slots, or more importantly, they're just going to go right on by them, looking for a little bit of harassment here, as Reynor is doing his damnedest to keep his army alive, to keep everything alive here on the right-hand side. But the Zealots, well, Trap's never in any one place at any given time, so the Zealots are going to find some good damage here. But, well, the Mutas are here as well. They're going to fly on in, and they're not really finding a lot of damage yet because, again, 3 shield batteries, 2 cannons are making life difficult indeed. Now, there we go. We do have the Phoenix underway as well. And Reynor not really committing to that meter corruptor style that I kind of expected to see. Yes, there's +1 air attack on the way, but no, it's just Queens. It's just drones. We don't see any more anything in the air, which, you know, may be a good decision, right? If you just decide to go into some sort of, you know, Roach Queen, maybe Roach Hydra, something like that. So there we go. The Oracle will go on down. That's a pretty decent way at dealing with what Trap has at the moment. And I say at the moment because, well, there's a second Robo on the way. Trap understands that Reynor understands. The Trap understands that everyone expects Meter Corruptor, which means Reynor's not going to go Meter Corruptor, which means Trap needs to counter the next tech, which is, of course, going to be something on the ground. Hydras, Roaches, Ravagers, whatever the case may be, Disruptors are good lurkers. Disruptors are good against all of that. There we go. With the Hydras on the way, we already have a Lurker Den Hive halfway done. And, you know, I think Reynor has accomplished his goal here. He says, yeah, I do not want to deal with the Sky Toss threat. That's just too annoying, so I'm going to go Lurkers. I'm going to go, well, I'm going to go Mutas. I'm going to force a lot of Phoenix, which makes it a lot harder to get on into carriers. And behind that, of course, we do have that ground composition behind that. But, I mean, Trap is not going into air. Whether he thinks the Mutas or the Phoenix were too much of an investment, or in his timing's not going to be met or what, I'm not really sure, but he's not going in the air. +2 ground is now done. We do have Blink on the way, and Double Disruptor will be the name of the game here for Trap in this game number 3. And it's interesting, right? Because we're going Disruptors here pretty much at the same time that Reynor has 4 Vipers on the way. And Vipers, for those uninitiated, are extremely good units. They are the classical hard counter to Robo units, right? Because Colossus, Disruptors, Immortals, all very powerful units. They all do a lot of damage, but they're not the tankiest units. Immortal's kind of the glaring exception there. Oh, look at this Reynor. He's going to find... no, he's not actually. Nice pickup there from Trap, but he theoretically was going to find a bunch of Disruptors. Hey, he's going to find a third one, and that one will go down. Disruptor, or excuse me, War Prism can only pick up 2 units of that size at a given time. So their Disruptor will go on down, and look at this surround that we have Reynor setting on up here. He is maxed out, and there is no Storm. But okay, it looks like for the moment here, Reynor not all that interested in engaging because, well, their force fields are a thing. Roaches here, all really just posturing. And, well, Trap seems to be aware of this. He says, yeah, not really here. Not right now, but there we go. The last of the Phoenix will go on down. Reynor, though, he does have to be careful because there are 2 Disruptors in this army, and the Vipers are not here yet. But here they are now. This is where things get a little bit fun, but also funny for Trap because Trap does have a Warp in on the left-hand side of the map here on this third base, making it more and more difficult for Reynor to really take the engagement as he wants. He's forced to take a lot of his army back because these are +2 Zealots, and, well, Zerglings, they won't do enough. So 12 workers have gone down. Actually, Reynor now only on 68 workers, falling below 70 workers for the first time in a while, and that makes life that much more difficult. But now we do have the army rotating forward here, and with, of course, oh, these Disruptor shots are going to be massive indeed. Now the Viper's going to move on forward here. One Viper goes down. Okay, it looks like it's actually only going to be 1, and more Disruptor shots going on off. The Zealots unabated here and uncontested in the third base. We'll continue to get more and more and more workers as Trap just finds damage and value all over the map. There is a difference between finding damage and value and actually winning a game. As we do have this fight taking place in the upper side of the map here. A bunch of big abducts coming on in. 1 Disruptor goes down, 2 Disruptors goes down, and the Warp Prism as well. So that just makes life even more difficult for Trap at this point. Is, yeah, he's got a big army, but it's only 2 Disruptors. Storm is not yet done. We have 5 more Lurkers on the way, and this army from Reynor, even if the army supplies look somewhat even, and actually the army value does favor Trap, This is a lot of lurkers to deal with, and with abducts, this can be a massively cost-efficient army. Now disruptors are going on in once again, but will we have the abducts? No, we won't. Nice feedbacks there from Trap. Are going to keep all of the army of Trap alive here. And while we have seismic spines, we do not have burrow speed just yet, so it's still difficult for Reynor to really move on in to the army here, really to put pressure on. And actually, Trap's going to find the army of Reynor here. Lurkers are going to have to burrow, but they're going to do it slow. But now we have the spines going out. Archons actually getting stuck behind each other, but no, they will be able to escape. As once again, the Zealots are just proving to be the bane of Reynor in this game number 2. Number 3. Both at the same time. All right, as we get a breather here in this game, we have a mothership out, which leads to some really interesting potential recall shenanigans from Trap. We do have Storm done as well. +1 air attack is on the way. And we do have 2 Stargates. So Trap, pretty much whenever he wants at this point, as he does start to build up this bank, can go on into that Sky-tossed army that really is so difficult for Zergs to deal with, especially this army composition that Reynor has decided for himself. As now we have once again have a massive run by here. Disruptor shots are going to be nice, but hey, 2 disruptors will go down in the exchange, as the feedbacks are only good enough to knock down 1 Viper here. But in the meantime, the 3rd base from Reynor will go down. Now it's mostly mined. It does not really matter quite as much as otherwise, but still that is less mining here for Reynor. Now the army of Trap is going to rotate around, trying to find the small portion of this army that is really unsupported. The storms are going to go down, but Reynor looks like he's setting up a massive surround here. Lurkers on the left and right side, but there's the detection. Actually, we have detection for everything. The entire ground army from Trap is going on down. Now there are not a lot of Hydras in the sky, which does make life a little bit more interesting, but all of the Stalkers, all of the Disruptors, they have died here in this game. They have gone kibbutz. And what does that mean for Trap? Well, it's run by time. We have, of course, we have Zealots on the right-hand side of the map here. We have, well, I think actually the ones on the left-hand side were taken down by the main army of Reynor. But Reynor, he's just playing such a reactive game. And yeah, he's taking decent fights, but he did lose a base. And that does mean that while he's on 4 bases here, he's actually down a base compared to his opponent, even if it does not look like Trap that's not really mining from his 5th base yet. Well, you kind of want to be even on bases compared to a Protoss player. That's just kind of how that one works. Actually, it looks like this 4th base is coming rapidly under fire here as well, but now it's time for Reynor to really make his presence known. Not with the Vipers, though. They're all going to be transfused. That being said, a lot of the interceptors have already started to go on down here, and with the amount of Hydras that exist, these +2 Hydras are going to pack a punch. Although, of course, we do need armor on them, right? You do need armor to deal with these +1 carriers, and the entire army really is just starting to melt here, especially with the mothership as soon as all this detection does go down, which it does, and with the warpins of the Zealots as well. Trap, he's gonna take the fight, but it's not a matter of the battles, it's a matter of who takes the game, right? And Trap here, he's down 30 army supply, he's down 20 workers. Even if he is up bases, the worker count is a problem, and with the lack of detection, this 1 lurker is just doing so much work here for Reynor. Knocking down, of course, workers, knocking down army, anything on the ground is a problem. But okay, there we go. Now we have the Observer. Once again, Trap builds his army. How many carriers does he have? He has 3 carriers, 3 Void Rays, a Phoenix that is somewhere lost to time. All right, so once again, we do have a run by here from Trap on the, really as far away from Reynor's army as it can possibly be, because Reynor is very interested in knocking down the 12 o'clock position of Trap, right? He knocks down the 12 o'clock position, he knocks down the near 11 o'clock position, that 3rd, 4th base location there, and if he can do that, well, it just starts cascading. But actually, no, Reynor, he will find this position here between the natural and the 3rd base, and this is where things get problematic. It is so difficult for Trap to really take this engagement, right? Because with the Vipers here, they're going to abduct anything that shows on up. And Reynor has the vision advantage, by the way, with this Observer up on the high ground. So really what it means is there's just going to be a lot of structural damage from Reynor here that Trap doesn't really want to deal with. And fair, so what is he going to do? It's counterattack time, baby. He's going to move out on the map here, hoping that he can deal with the attacks from Reynor, or knock down the infrastructure of Reynor faster than Reynor can knock down the infrastructure of Trap. And you know what? I think that's a rather fair assumption, actually, considering the fact that Trap has 2 recalls. He can recall to his base, and he can also recall to his mothership. So that's gonna be fine. Their disruptor shots will not go down, as we're having just observers cranked out here, making sure that the lurkers will have some counterplay. As there are now 3 observers on the map. And there we go. Recall onto the 5th base here. I'm sorry, recall onto the 3rd base. Gonna knock down a significant portion of REYNOR's army. Now we're equal in army supply, but now these lurkers are gonna get some such good shots off here. A lot of the splash of the army is now being taken out. It's being separated from the main army of Trap, and that's a problem, right? That's what I was saying. Carriers are powerful only so long as there is Storm to buffer for it. Storm is powerful only as long as there is something to get in front of it. And without that virtuous synergy that we see with carriers, with Storm, separate, you can dodge the Storm and you can just get on top of the carriers. So REYNOR's done such a good job of zoning that out. And as much as REYNOR has taken a lot of economic damage this game, and he's lost his 3rd base a couple times, he's done more damage to Trap. In fact, Trap has traded within 2,000 resources of REYNOR this entire game, and considering that the fact that REYNOR has been mining more the entirety of this game, that is fantastic here for Trap in general. So that last Phoenix will go on down. Once again, Trap's going for yet another base trade. It's trying to swoop down behind the army, I guess. This 5th base of Trap will get taken on down. The last mining base really of Trap is going to go down here. The Storms are going to be nice on top of all these Hydras. Disruptor shots as well. And now, though, we have a big yank on top of the mothership here, but with the slow zone and the Storms, the entire army from REYNOR is going down, but I'm not sure whether that is enough. Even with those massive fights, there are just too many lurkers here, and there are just enough Hydras in the skies that are going to be able to knock down the entire army of Trap. That was such a great synergy there with the Storm and with the slow zone, but I don't think it's going to be enough here as the Hydras get on top of everything. There are just not enough interceptors, not enough splash on the ground, and yes, there are zealots. They're going to try to come to the fore, but it is not going to be enough at the end of the day. Trap, he played a good game. He played a solid game in this game 3, but he's just going to lack the splash. He's going to lack the efficiency at the end of this to really make this victory happen for him. So REYNOR now, he's going to chase everything down here. Lurkers left on over to harass the mineral line. We'll do the end of it, and GG REYNOR, he's going to take his first game of this series and go up 2-1. So let's see, the map that Trap won, because each REYNOR and Trap have each won a map here. He went super aggressive. He went 3-gate glaives into another timing. It worked out fantastically for him. He punished REYNOR, and he didn't commit too hard for it. So it worked out very well for him indeed. And game 2, though, he did the patented Trap build. Warp gate into Stargate, take it late, go to Skytoss, and REYNOR said, I don't care. I will outplay you on the map. I will make it so your Skytoss army never really comes together. And then I will beat you with what I have, with the fist of Vipers. And, of course, lurkers and Hydras and all that fun stuff. So I wonder whether that is going to affect how Trap looks to play from this point on. The Skytoss didn't work, but it's also fair to say that he didn't really get there. Yeah, he got into 4 Voidories defensively, and yes, he did get into carriers, but those carriers weren't all together with the Storm. You never saw Carrier Storm. He only got +1 air. I think he had +1 shields, but again, we didn't see that extremely powerful, 110, 120, 130 supply, 140 supply of Skytoss Deathball, that +2 carrier timing that is just so damn powerful. REYNOR did not let him get there. Now, Trap may be able to get there, though, on this map. So, Blackburn is a really interesting map in that it starts very small. It's actually relatively short rest distance, natural to natural, on the bottom side, as so long as you avoid the slow zones. And, well, it's rather close, right? But the 3rd bases are much further away from each other. And as this map expands upward, right, because you are incentivized to expand upward on into the golds, it really starts to open up. It's no longer this kind of claustrophobic, small, short map. It gets really big, right? It's actually relatively easy for a Protoss player to hold their 3rd base, even if this is a wide open area, because it's just so far away and you got to crunch through so much opposition to get there that, funnily enough, the Queen builds that we see, the Queen Roach Ravager build that we've yet to see in this series, but traditionally we see against these Stargate openers, they don't feel all that great. In fact, for a while before Zerg players really started to understand this map, we saw players like Zest actually do a lot of 2.5 base carrier builds that were explicitly to punish the avarice of a 45-50 drone Roach Queen all in. Because Roaches and Queens are really not all that great against carriers. And, well, it's actually a bit slower of a walk to get to the third base than you think it is. But I think that meta is over and done with. It was about 2 weeks where Zest was doing that. Maybe a couple other Protoss players were, but I haven't seen it since then. So don't expect that. In fact, I mean, you shouldn't. This is Void Ray and Oracle. This is the same build that Trap has won, again, multiple tournaments on. Even if his third base is 10 seconds slower, of course, 10 seconds doesn't really make that much of a difference at the grand scheme of things. So REYNOR, he has his third base done. Trap is his third base just now getting started. And we just see drones from the young Italian player. He's all in on building up his economy because look, what use has he for like committing to a 5-minute timing? He won in the late game and he made it look easy. We do see Trap here. He's going for something a little bit different, right? We talked about the Stargate build. A double Stargate at like 420. You get your third base to 350. It's the build that Trap, again, he won multiple tournaments on. At least won all the Zerg matches in that tournament's on. But we've seen a lot of deviation from this build since then, and Trap's going for a slightly different version of it in this game number 4. Right? He's got a Twilight on the way. He has a Forge on the way here, so it's going to be one gate for an Oracle and a Void Ray for defensive map control and aggressive map control. And behind that, we have Blink on the way. We have +1 on the way. We have a Robo on the way. And we may just see a big +1 blink timing. This is something that I have seen Zoun do in particular, where he says, yes, I'm opening Stargate. Don't even worry about it. But then he moves out on the map with a bunch of gateways, with a Warp Prism, with +1 blink, and a bunch of sentries. And he just cuts Zerg by the blind side, right? The Zergs don't tend to expect it because there's a very explicit path that we expect games like this to follow. We expect to open Stargate first to follow, and when you break that cycle, when you break that script, well, for a while at least, you have a massive opportunity to get something done. Actually, I think that's what we're going to see here. So we got Warp Prism on the way, +1, about halfway done. Blink just about halfway done. They will finish right around the same time. And we have now the gates being added on here. And look, he's even hiding the sentries behind the mineral line. He does not want REYNOR to know. Well, he is going to be aggressive here rather soon. This is not, again, your traditional charge lot arc on something. This is not your Stargate play. This is just I'm going to get a lot of Blink Stalkers. I'm going to beat up on your Roaches because in enough numbers, Stalkers absolutely, especially with +1, do outtrade Roaches, especially with Force Fields. And we're going to go from there. So Zerglings will scout this. They will say, hey, 4 sentries, you got a Warp Prism. This is spooky here. I need to be careful. And actually, even more importantly, they're going to see the fact that the rest of the Stalkers are warping on in. They're like, okay, Stalkers are warping on in here. There's only one reason you do that. 19 Roaches on the way. +1's just about halfway done. His fourth base will not be allowed to mine. But, I mean, Trap's got to get more than that. This is committed. And he's down 26 army supply. Although that Force Field... It's actually, oh, there we go. Now there's the Force Field. He's going to start shelling away at this high energy Queen, forcing it to go down, and more importantly, forcing a lot of energy to be spent on it. But REYNOR doesn't care, right? Losing one Queen, he has plenty of energy where that came from. He has plenty of Queens where that came from, and he has 14 Queens on the map. And he's just so confident about this. All he's like, yeah, I built my Roaches. I have my Queens. I'm fine. I'm going to start droning behind this. I got an infestation pit on the way. Trap, this build was done before it even started. Go home, think again. You're not breaking me here. And that is absolutely the perfect read, right? You're not breaking 14 Queens and a bunch of Roaches and some Ravagers. It's just not going to happen. Actually, Trap has to be very careful that he does not overextend on this little bit of aggression to the point where REYNOR can just run across the map and kill him. Because again, this is a big, scary army. And there's not enough damage in this army from Trap to really deal with it. Now, with these Disruptors on the way, that may be the answer here. +2 attack, charge, but the Disruptors are the really big thing. Because again, Ravagers, Queens, Roaches, they don't split all that fast. It's very difficult to get them away from a well-placed Disruptor shot. It looks like REYNOR, for the moment at least, he's just content to stick on a Roach Ravager. Oh, he's going up to 90 worker. Okay, there's a Hydra Den on the way, but he's going up to like 90 workers. That is, man, 90 workers with a supply inefficient army seems interesting. But anyway, we have the fight kicking off right now here. REYNOR only a 20 army supply lead, and considering most of his army is Roach Ravager, you know, 2 or 3 supply units a pop. Well, it's not all that great, but okay, there we go. The base will be, actually, I believe that was killed. Yeah, the 4th base here from Trap will go down, not even a cancel. And, well, Trap, okay, so he's going for the age-old, it's not 2 Disruptors, it's 3 this time, but he's going for the 2 Disruptor, the 3 Disruptor, 2 Colossus all in. But unfortunately, Vipers are already on the way, so it's going to be a very narrow timing that Trap is going to look to hit here before REYNOR just has the perfect response, because we do not have a Templar Archives. Right, we will not see feedbacks over the course of this game as the Zealots. They're looking for a run by, but they are slow boys, and they will get taken on out. Anyway, we do have the 2 Colossus just about done. Extended Thermal Lance rather close to being done. +2 attack on the way, just about done as well. So Trap here, he's going to have a powerful army. It's going to be a very slim timing that he's looking to hit, but it will be powerful as we have, actually 4 Disruptors, excuse me, 4 Disruptors, 2 Colossus, Extended Thermal Lance done in 15 seconds. And now it's Trap's turn to move out on the map here, just with this one big army, hoping to make the break happen. As the Disruptor shots, excuse me, the Vipers will get the abduct here. Disruptors are not going to get what they're looking for. And maybe, just maybe, Trap needs to wait for a couple High Templar. Wait until he just has, you know, like 4, 6 supply of High Templar, just making sure that he does get those feedbacks as appropriate. But interestingly enough, Trap, he's building more Colossus. He already has 2, but he's got a 3rd one on the way. This is new. Outside of a Disruptor Colossus all in, I cannot remember the last time I saw Colossus in this matchup. I mean, Party was doing it for a little bit with Blink Stalker Sentry Colossus, but that was early to mid 2020, and it only worked for a certain amount of time. This Colossus as part of your entire army is really interesting because, again, Vipers kind of hard counter that, and Lurkers are actually very good against Colossus. So I'm excited to see how this one turns out for Trap, because, I mean, very clearly, this is not just something that, I don't think this is something that he's just throwing out here. It's like, I don't know what to do, let's build Colossus. I mean, this is something that I'm sure he has been practicing, something that he has been working on. So I don't know how REYNOR, well, REYNOR's going to respond with Vipers and Lurkers and all that fun stuff. I do know that. I'm curious how Trap is going to be able to make this happen. This may just be a map-specific thing where you're like, okay, with Extended Thermal Lance, I can really just sit outside of that mineral line and just cause havoc, sit on the high ground and cause havoc. So that may be the goal here, where, okay, just the Colossus, they don't even really care about taking the fight. Oh, the Biles will knock down a High Templar too, which, by the way, we have Storm. So that's a lot of damage missing here. But actually the goal of these Colossus may just be able to sit on the high ground, sit behind the mineral line, and just be as disruptive as possible. As the Stalker's blinging forward, looking to make something happen. We will have some feedbacks on top of the Queens, but there are a lot more Queens where that comes from. So feedback in the Queens, I'm not even sure if it's value, to be totally honest, because, again, there's just so many of them there. So the Stalkers are going to blink down forward. Disruptor shots, not going to be the best, but the second sets are going to be, as the feedbacks on top of all of the Vipers are going to be fantastic indeed. And there we go, the 5th base of REYNOR. Once again, it does go down, although I guess technically it's the attempted 6th base now, because while the 5th base is up on the bottom side, but Trap does have his 4th base up. He's got his 5th base actually up here, and it looks like he's got a 6th base underway. So Trap, he is a rich Protoss boy indeed. He's got everything he could ever want. +1 air attack on the way, additional Stargates on the way as well, going up to a grand total of 3, as well as the Fleet Beacon, and he is starting to play the map. I was talking earlier on about how this map is really cool. It starts small, we felt that, and then it gets bigger, and we're starting to feel that now too, with every player having taken their line, right? They take the gold base, they take the bottom side base, and then they take all 4 bases on the right-hand side. And then you get into this really interesting situation where there are the 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock bases that no one can realistically take. Those abducts are going to be fantastic indeed. The feedbacks were good. The abducts were better. All of the disruptors will go down, but we still have these 3 Colossus. And they shred everything on the ground here. Well, aside of the Lurkers, but they shred the Vipers. Excuse me, they shred the Hydras at the very least. Anyways, now the map is getting rather cool indeed here. So there we have we do have Zealots getting on top of all of these lurkers, but there are enough lurkers here that the Zealots really won't be able to do what they need. Now Stock's blink forward. That means the rest of these lurkers do go down, but not before there's economic damage, not before there is mineral damage here. As this base will go down, but it's already just getting recalled to the upper right. No harm, no foul there. Not really. And once again, we're in this base trade scenario that we kind of worked, that we got in at a similar time in the last game, where Trap is really good at building these death balls. The death balls that really, realistically, REYNOR doesn't want to fight. So what does he do? He says, okay, well, I'm just not going to engage. I'm going to move across the map here. I'm going to look to base trade. I'm going to look to take your army in piecemeal. And good luck with that one, bud. So this time, though, I don't think that this is going to be quite as successful here for REYNOR, although those abducts on top of those Colossus are going to be nice, but the Colossus are already starting to micro backward. Disruptors, though, unfortunately, they're going to be microed on top of four lurkers. And that's a big problem indeed. Now we have an abduct on the high ground. The Colossus are not going to stay alive this time. And now Trappy's down 40 supply. Disruptor shot from the flank, though, is going to be insane here. What a play there from Trap. I don't know if it gets him back into this game, but it certainly allows him to maybe take this fight up on the high ground, because the entire buffer army for these lurkers, it's mostly gone. So Stalkers, maybe they're going to be able to blink on top of things. Storms are not going to hit, though. And REYNOR really is taking a chokehold here of this high ground position in this game number 4. He's working on it. He has absolutely struggled to find this position, but now that he has, it's going to be so difficult. It's going to be so difficult for Trap to really do anything to dislodge it. I mean, this is, what? This is 6 lurkers on the high ground with extended range, with +3 attack. That is not a breakable position. Not without Tempests or Carriers or something, which Trap has, but not really with him at the moment. And now we have the army of REYNOR looking to crush on in here. So many Hydras, and there are no Storms. So these Hydras, they are indomitable. They have +1 armor as well, which means these the Carriers are just really not going to do a lot. They're just going to get targeted on down. Well, actually, look at this flank, though. With the force field, it's going to trap so much of this army, and the Storms are here now. The entire army from REYNOR. This army is getting evaporated, but look at the supply. We have the Remax instantaneously, and Trap just doesn't have the economy anymore to deal with it. He was in such a rich position. He had all 6 bases, but he's lost the outlying ones, which means realistically, he's mining from like 2 bases. There we have it, GG. REYNOR is going to take game number 3 and put himself on match points. And here we are on match points. REYNOR, he's got 3 maps. He won 2 of them. One, of course, he got by dint of coming from the upper bracket. Trap has a map. He's not totally without hope, but he is, well, his back's against the wall here. Before we talk about them, though, we should probably talk about the player in the upper right in the blue for Clash. He is on tournament point here. Give it up for REYNOR. And his opponent in the bottom left of Juggernaut, in at the red, is back against the wall. His tournament life on the line for the Afrika Freaks. Perhaps for the last time, he is Trap. Now, I very much hope that this is not the last time I want to see Trap take it all the way to game number 7, because realistically, I'm a sucker for game 7s. I think game 7s, especially in tournament finals, are just the greatest thing to happen in StarCraft. Well, I'm sorry. Game 9s are the best thing to happen to StarCraft. Unless it's a best of 11, then best of 11s are the best thing to happen to StarCraft. And, well, and so it goes. I guess there's a point of diminishing returns where, like, a game 63 of a best of 63, I think you just kind of wanted to end at that point. But for the most part here, in standard tournament formats, that last game, when it's for all the marbles, when there's all the stress and all the glory involved, ooh, sends sick nerd chills down my spine. But before we have to get to game number 7, we have to get to game number 5. And that's going to be no mean feat. REYNOR has looked damn powerful over the course of this game, over the course of this series. Yes, one of these maps is artificial. It was the upper bracket advantage. But even then, the maps he has won, Trap has successfully survived late game on an even footing, and REYNOR said, okay, fine. I don't care. I'm just going to go kill you anyways. So what we may see, I mean, I respect Trap here, right? Game 1, he won in 7 minutes. And he said, okay, well, aggressive build. It's probably not going to work again. Let's try my stock standard macro, see if that works. And that's killed a lot of Zergs. It beat REYNOR. It beat Cyril in big tournaments on the Trap's way to winning it. He beat Rogue, I believe, in a GSL Super Tournament earlier this year. But REYNOR, at least today, is not being fooled by this. He has an idea of how he wants to play this game, and he's not allowing Trap to dissuade him from that. And more importantly, REYNOR's idea of how he wants to play the game appears to be correct. Whether that continues to be correct, that's going to be a different story. But already here, Trap, he's going for the more aggressive option. Once again, we saw the Twilight Council get started here. And the question now is how many gates? Is it going to be 3 gates like we saw in game number 1 that allowed him to just get game-ending damage? Or is it going to be, well, is it going to be 4 gates? Is it going to be 4 gate glaives? It looks like the answer will be 3 gate glaives here. So this means we're going to see a 350, a 4-minute third base. As there we have the probe looking to move on out. But, well, that's not going to happen. As, there are a bunch of Zerglings here. The Stalker actually will go down. That should be just about it. And actually, this is a lot of Zerglings running across the map. This is something that Trap will have to deal with. It's going to delay his plans quite significantly, as it looks like 1 gateway may even go down. That's going to be a bit of a problem here. So second gateway wall up is happening. That gateway will go on down, but we do have Warp Gate. So Warp Gate will not get canceled. And this is weird. Oh, you know what? Actually, I really like this. So Trap has noticed. He's like, look, you committed what? 17 lings have died, and or you've committed like 28 lings to this. That is 14 workers. And when you have 14 workers like that, all right, that is an economic disadvantage. So why stick on 3 gate when you can go to 4 gate, drop a Dark Shrine behind this, and just really punish REYNOR for his temerity to go for like a weird 4-minute link flood that realistically probably was not going to work. So there we go. We have the gateways on the way here, going up actually to 5 gates. Oh yeah, this is insanely committed here from Trap. All right, so these adepts, they're going to shade out on the map here. They will trade a little bit better than they otherwise would have, because again, they do have glaives, and actually one will survive as we have the rest of things moving on in. So, oh, it looks like the Zerglings will find the rest of these adepts though, and that's going to make this push a little bit more difficult. But this may actually be kind of what Trap is looking for. He says, yes, be afraid. Catch my adepts in the middle of the map. That's fine. I don't really care, because I'm going to get DTs underway. But actually, okay, this is actually getting rather dicey for Trap, because he went for 5 gates, right? That is committed aggression, but he doesn't have a Warp Prism. And with his units getting caught out on the map, well, the units getting caught on the map, right? You're not going to find full value of them. So that's a bit of a problem. That being said, though, we don't have, we do have detection in all the bases here. So I don't think these DTs are going to get a lot. Trap, if he had seen that, maybe he would have been able to cancel the 4th base. But for the moment here, 1 DT is going to roll on in. That's going to be just about it. Now, we do not have a lair. So if there was a Warp Prism, for example, that had enough, and it was able to find its way on into the main base and just drop 4 DTs on a Spore, maybe that's value. But actually, it looks like a second DT is actually going to find its way on into the main base, and we're starting to see some real damage here from this. 1 DT for 8 workers? Yes, please, absolutely. But Zerglings are actually going to find their way on in as well. Nice hot warp in there from Trap. We'll keep the majority of this damage at bay, but still 5 workers have gone down. We're going to see more where that came from. As REYNOR, he's just going to target the probes. He says, look, I don't really care about your army. I'm not really going to kill much of that anyways, but if I can knock down your economy here after you're already on 2 bases for so long, well, that is juicy indeed. And that's exactly what has happened here. The DT is dead. No more potential damage here for Trap. He is down 15 odd workers, and his 3rd base is only just now finished. But how many gateways do we have? So we have 6 gates here. Blink's just about 3/4 of the way done. And maybe that's Trap's plan. Go on in with Blink. He will not have a forge, so it's not going to be +1 Blink, anything like that. But maybe there's still an opening. when Blink is done, when he has a Warp Prism, where Reynor has just committed a little bit too much to droning up after losing his own taking his own damage, and also, you know, not building 7 workers that he otherwise could have built earlier in this game. All right, this DT though will be wholly unsuccessful. Now we have the Blink Stalkers here with a bunch of sentries as well, because the force fields are a powerful thing indeed. As well, Travis found the fourth base. He was aware of it earlier, but this time there's really not a lot that Reynor can do, because there are force fields, and he can just force field himself right on out should he so choose. And Reynor also has to be very careful about not getting himself segmented away, like half of his army moving up onto the high ground. So yeah, he's just not even going to try. The fourth base is dead. The fourth base will not be lasting long in this game, but it's still a 3-base Zerg against a, well, now a 3-base Protoss, but for quite a while a 2-base, 2.5-base Protoss. And Trap, as much as he did a good job finding his way on into the main base here, he's also going to struggle to find his way, or into the fourth base, he's also going to struggle to find his way out of this base. And once again, the wall is open. Zerglings are going to find their way on into the natural and the main base. We will have to see some Warpins on in. We do have a couple Stalkers in the main base, but still, we're going to see a bunch of workers go down here. And this may also be the distraction there. Actually, we're just going to see a big recall coming on in. Will the Biles land? They won't. Nothing dies from that recall. Zerglings go down, but hey, 6 more workers do go down here. Trap, though, he's still around that 60 worker mark. He's kind of okay with this. He shut Reynor down to 3 bases. Fourth base, of course, on the way, but he put Reynor on 3 bases. He's killed a decent amount of workers. It looks like another DT got some damage done. And now he's going for that ground army that looked like it would be successful in the game on Blackburn, which unfortunately at the end of the day it was not, but it looks like it had an opportunity. Anyway, Stalkers will blink on forward once again here. 1 Stalker for 1 Roach is not exactly a value trade, but well, the Stalkers always have the high ground to retreat to. So no big deal there. 1 Colossus is on the way. It's only single Robo Colossus, not double Robo. We do not have extended thermal lance here. As Trap, he's trying to take a fight, but it looks like Reynor also very interested in taking a fight here with that superior concave. Roaches are going to look to move on forward, and there's also an upgrade advantage here. So really, it's difficult indeed for Trap to take this fight. And again, this is his life on the line. Any mistake he makes at this point, as he is sitting here down 25 army supply, down 13 workers, is his entire tournament. It's the difference between first and second place. So understandably, he's being rather cautious. He doesn't want to commit where he really shouldn't. And, well, also he shouldn't do that. But again, I expect him to play rather cautious here. But now he's got an army and he wants to use it. He does look to put on pressure. Those force fields are going to be dynamite indeed. Catching so many of these Roaches and Ravagers before they can drop their Biles. And he's not even going to get the Warp Prism. So now we're seeing the army grow. Trap turning out all the stops here. He has 10 gates and he's absolutely using them. His army supply for the first time in this game is outgrowing the Zergs, and the majority of Reynor's army is out of position. Do we have detection with this army? We do. So we're just going to see Trap here blink on top of the lurkers. 1 goes down, 2 goes down. Yes, there is a blinding cloud, but it's not really going to matter here. Yeah, there's a parasitic bomb on top of the Warp Prism as well, but again, that will not kill the Warp Prism here. This 4th base of Reynor is going on down. This 1 Colossus is doing such good work, and now the disruptor shot's going to go off. It's not actually going to get a lot at the last second. The splits there from Trap will be amazing indeed. And yes, the Warp Prism has died, but at the expense of a 4th base, at the expense of the Vipers, at the expense of a couple lurkers. Trap now, he has felt his destiny. He seized it with 2 hands. And he's doing all that he can to find himself a game number 5 and maybe even a game 6. Maybe even a game 7. As he moves on in. Stalkers are blinking forward. They don't even care about the Vipers at this point, as we see the world's shortest abduct. The disruptor shot's going off as well. And suddenly, Reynor's army, it looks a lot less scary than it otherwise was. Drones have to be pulled to defend this, but they're just dying. They're not defending anything. That 1 Colossus still alive on such a sliver of HP. And we have the rally of Trap moving on in. Yes, there was a Warp Prism that went down, but, well, eventually, Stalkers walk across the map here as we have the rally. It's coming on in. Trap, his time is now. His opportunity is now. The Biles are going to look to land, but they will not be successful once again. And now we have Trap microing back softly here, doing what he can with these 2 extra disruptors. It's going to be so difficult indeed for Reynor to really make the fight. Maybe with the Zergling flank, he's going to be able to knock this army down. But even this army dies, which it will. I'm not worried about this army. I'm worried about the next and the next, because the damage that Trap has done means that Trap, for the first time in a while, for the first time in this game certainly, is up a base on his opponent. He has a vastly greater economy than REYNOR has to bear. And that's a problem, right? Because REYNOR is here, he's on Roachling, he's on a cost-inefficient, supply-inefficient army that really wins by just having a lot of it. And when you don't have a lot of it, well, it does not really matter indeed. So this fourth base, once again, will come under fire. Disruptor Shots doing a fantastic job of just zoning the army off, making sure that the fourth base does die as the Starks, they bling on top of the Zerglings. They say, hey, not here, not now. The Roaches, they will get on top of these Disruptors. They will be able to knock one of them out. But once again, the base goes down. Trap ensuring his economic dominance in this game. Well, he finds himself in a fantastic position. Now, the one thing that we're looking at here is we're not seeing Trap really get far ahead in supply, which one might expect. You might say, oh, yeah, that's expect, right? You know, with a better economy. But again, remember, Protoss armies are supply efficient, right? So if you look at army value here, yeah, it's a lot greater for Trap indeed. The Disruptor Shots are going to go off. One will get abducted, but that won't even matter. Second shot is going to get off on these Lurkers. Now we're going to see the Stalkers. Well, not going to blink forward, but it doesn't even matter because they're just going to get out of range of these Lurkers. Now the Lurker's going to go on down. Zerglings are looking for the flank. That's not going to be enough. GG Trap. He takes game number 4. So we saw Trap get aggressive in the previous game, and it worked out for him. All right, it was many layers of aggression. And in fact, the first kind of attempted punish didn't really work out because there was no Warp Prism. And Adept got caught out piecemeal. But eventually, Trap found that aggressive opening that REYNOR tried to greed through, and he found just enough damage. He caught REYNOR's army out of position that allowed him to knock down those 2 Lurkers that were attempting to defend the 4th base, which allowed him to kill the 4th base, and it all snowballed from there. Now, I don't know if we're going to see something like that happen in game number 6. I doubt it again. Something like that getting caught out of position is a rarity when we look at how REYNOR decides to play. But it's not out of the question that Trap manages to outmaneuver the young Italian Zerg. Now, I do believe Trap is going to open Twilight once again, just strictly looking at that pylon positioning. That is a traditional that's kind of a standard position that you could like hide your Robo and your Twilight away on in the main base here of Trap, as you tend to get the Twilight and the Robo like right there. That seems to work out rather well. And there we go, Twilight going down as I say that. So now, once again, is this going to be 3-gate? Is this going to be 4-gate? Will we see DTs? Is there going to be some sort of weird charge thing? Most likely not. Most likely this will be some form of the glaive opportunity that Trap has won his games on. So for the moment, we don't have any more gateways on the way, but realistically, I mean, the Robo is going to go down first. We're going to see the gateways after that. And I hope we see a faster Roach Warren from REYNOR in this game. Granted, if it is 3-gate, which actually it looks like it will be, you don't really need, if you are able to catch the Adepts in the middle of the map, you don't really need a Roach Warren. All right, if you can just kind of catch them before it really starts to snowball. But, I mean, we saw what happened in game 1 and map 1 in game 2, where it didn't work out. Right, REYNOR tried to do that. He tried to really greed his way through that defense, and he lost 12 workers, and then he died to the follow-up. Now, whether that's going to happen again in this game, I don't know, but we do not have a Roach Warren yet. Granted, the Roach Warren timing for something like this is right around 4 minutes if you're looking to make the Queen Roach hold. But REYNOR actually may not know that this is even happening. I mean, you would expect him to have some idea, considering there has been no Stargate unit. But he hasn't scouted it, and he does see that there is a 350 third base. So that, coupled with the lack of Stargate and lack of really any scouting, should kind of tell him that this is most likely some sort of Twilight tech. And considering the fact that there's a third base at 350, it is the 3-gate version, not the 4-gate version. So there we go. We see some Zerglings on the way, but also, well, we see more workers here. And now the Roach Warren is going on down as he does scout the fact that, yes, there is a Chrono on this Twilight. This is something that you have to deal with. But Zerglings, once again, they will find these Adepts. Trap has been rather sloppy, or REYNOR has been very good at finding these adepts in the middle of the map, and that makes life difficult for Trap because he wants to be able to move out on the map here with these adepts. And if he can't do that, right, the sheer power of this push, he's just not where he wants it to be. And remember, this is delayed Robo, right? This is Robo going down at 440, not with the Twilight. It means there is no Warp Prism with the Adepts here, no Warp-ins. And yes, Oxide is a small map. Yes, you can get away with that a little bit just because of the short rally distance, but it's still difficult. And these Adepts, they're going to look to shade on in, but they should not shade on into this, but they will anyways. So a couple of Adepts are going to get sectioned off to deal with the Mineral Line immediately, as the rest of the Adepts, they just look to buy time. They look to distract the Queens, distract the Zerglings. But only 4 workers have gone down, and that is 4 workers for a lot of Adepts. What was that, like 7, 8 Adepts here? Yeah, 8 Adepts have died over the course of this game. Not worth. That was not good value here for Trap in this game. All right, so now a bunch of massive Zergling run by is going to find this third base with the shield battery with these Adepts here. Zerglings will not find anything, but the shade completes, which means the Zerglings, they can find their way back on in. And yes, there's a shield battery. Yes, it's keeping things alive for the time being. Yes, it's mitigating damage. Actually, with shield battery overcharge, not a single probe will die. That seems kind of dumb. But anyway, Adepts will find their way on into this third base of REYNOR now. Now we're going to see that damage that Trap's been looking at for quite a while. But no, he's going to shade on into the natural, and that means he's not going to get the damage. Zerglings, they're going to fight their way through that Stalker. Now it's time for them to find the main base. Now time for them to maybe find the damage that they are looking for. But with the Warp-ins, well, they're going to find what they need. And these two, it's always the last two. These 2 Adepts are just going to find so much damage here in the main base of REYNOR. 13 workers hit the deck. Their corpses litter the floor. And now, Trap maybe feels a little bit more comfortable because I don't believe... Yeah, 2 workers, 2 probes have died here for Trap. I don't know how he didn't take the damage that he did, but that was extremely impressive from Trap here. And now we're going to see a ground-based follow-up, right? This is not quick into Stargate. This is not a quick storm. This is just Trap continuing to lean on into his ground tech as he continues to kill more and more workers. 5, 6, 7 workers are going to go down, maybe even an 8th. Oh, there we go. With its dying breath, it will do so. And again, 3 Adepts at a time, it gives you a little bit of a buffer. 2 Adepts, 1 shot a probe. So even when you lose that first Adept, you're still getting damage done here. And REYNOR is taking so much of it. Adept Glaives go on into the main base. But honestly, I wouldn't even mind seeing these. There we go. So 1 will stay in the natural, 2 go on into the main base here. And this is game-breaking damage for Trap at this point. 18 workers have died. I think we saw 13 workers die last time. 35 drones have died over the course of the 7 minutes and 20 seconds of this game. 7 minutes and 30 seconds of this game. And now it's REYNOR's turn. He says, look, I need to get some damage. Actually, no, he's not even moving out. He can't do that. Looks like REYNOR's decision instead is to get that infestation pit. To get on into Hive as quick as possible. To just go and hope that he can turtle his way out. Because he's not going to be able to hit a time. He's not going to be able to break Trap before, prevent a 4th base if Trap decides to go there. But no, Trap, he says, look, I just got 35 workers. It would be the least intelligent thing I could do to just let you sit there and recover. You're REYNOR. I know what you can do with 3 minutes of uninterrupted time. It's time for me to get aggressive once again. There is, well, no +1 yet, but it is just about done here in 15 seconds. Just enough sentries for some force fields. The 4th base will go down rather easily as REYNOR looks and just tries to build up an army that can potentially beat what Trap has. Because Trap, he's down 20 army supply, even if he does have a powerful army. Funnily enough, though, Trap's army is more expensive, despite the supply deficit. Anyways, Disruptors are on the way here. And REYNOR, he's just trying to get desperately into Hive. Find those units. Find that tech that will allow him to counter the mass robo units that Trap does have, to counter the Immortals, to counter the Stalkers, right? Drop a Blinding Cloud, to counter these Disruptors that are coming out. I don't know if REYNOR knows about that just yet, but Trap is very happy. He is very happy to go and take his 4th base, to reset for a moment, and then move out once again, to just establish that economic position, and then make it so that REYNOR will never be allowed a similar economic position for the rest of this game. Now, REYNOR, he is advancing his tech, right? We do have a Hydra Den on the way. Hive is just about halfway done. We should see a Lurker Den sooner rather than later. But now there are disruptors with this army. These force fields are going to be fantastic. And notice Trap waited until the files went down for him to drop these force fields. It means that he traps half the Ravagers just there. And now he's up 4 army supply. He's got a better army. He's got a more expensive army. And with these disruptors going on, it's going to be so difficult for Reynor to really dodge. But no, the Novas will not be perfect. And now, well, Trap, he's just going to sit on the edge of creep for the moment. He's going to sit here, wait for the creep to recede, wait for his reinforcements, wait for those next disruptors, and do it again. Because his army is powerful. His army is insanely expensive. It costs like 3 times the gas of what Reynor can bring to bear. Well, I guess more closer to 2.5. But anyways, it means that he will prevent Reynor from really ever taking a base. Now, Reynor is attempting 2 bases at once here, and I do like this. It does guarantee that one of these force bases does get up, at least in the short term. Now, in the long term, Trap may decide to rotate over and deal with that too, but at the very least, it forces Trap to attack in 2 separate positions, and that buys Reynor a little bit more time to get his Lurker Den up, to get his Hydras, to get maybe a little bit higher DPS army here. As Disruptor Shot 1 will be wholly unsuccessful, but now Reynor looks like he's actually taking the fight, which means Disruptors, not great, but Stark's pulling forward here. They knock the Viper down. Actually, they only get half of it, and they will get the Abduct here, but that Disruptor, I believe it had already fired. The second Disruptor Shot will land, but not to great aplomb. But again, Trap has a supply lead. He has a more powerful army. And this Disruptor Shot. Oh, Trap, last second split here. Fantastic splits there from Reynor. Oh, I like this though. Trap is like, yeah, you want to fight me? Cool. I'm just going to supply block you. As there we have Viper Young's coming on in once again. Disruptor Shots. Or, excuse me, the Disruptors, they will get abducted, but oh man, I love it. Trap decides he doesn't even care here. Just blinking on top of the army. He says, I have too much DPS. I have too much stuff here. And I think he's wholly correct, as that last Disruptor Shot is going to put the nail in the coffin. The army from Reynor is sinking through the floor. And once again, Trap, he just has a little bit too much. Drones are being forced to be pulled to defend this. Maybe, just maybe, with the drones, Reynor's going to be able to buy himself another minute, buy himself another lease at life. But even with that, it looks like that will not be the case here. The Disruptor Shot's going to knock down the last Queens, the last Hydras here. Blink Stalkers blinking for all they are worth. And it looks like Reynor, he's going to be forced. Trap is going to take us to a game number 7 from a 3-1 deficit. Trap, he looks dominant these last couple games. He's playing a style we haven't seen in a while, and it's absolutely going to work out for him here. GG Trap, he's going to take us to game 7. And it seems like Trap has finally found his groove in this series. He has realized that going into the late game against Reynor, maybe that is ill-advised, but he can lean into Reynor early. He can force Reynor to do things. He can find timings. He can force Reynor to do things he doesn't want to do. He can find timings that otherwise may not exist, but because the meta is so strongly favoring a Protoss player attempting to find his way on into the late game, these early game timings, these mid game timings, these blink timings are not what Reynor has practiced against for the most part, I got to assume, right? You're playing against Trap. You're playing against the progenitor of the Stargate style. Why would you expect to play against a bunch of blink timings and a glaive timings and immortal timings and disruptor timings? That is not who Trap has been over the last 6 months. But very clearly, it is who Trap has decided he is today. And, well, now we're just going to have to see whether Reynor is going to be able to adapt to that. Whether he can defend the 2 adepts in every mineral line that have killed 20 workers every time that Trap has attempted it. Or whether Trap will be able to achieve that once again and just put Reynor at such an early economic deficit that it doesn't matter what Reynor does from that point. Trap just hits that timing. He just has too much, and there's nothing that Reynor can do. And it's always interesting when we look at this map to see how exactly, or yeah, how the players choose to expand. Right? Typically, we see the Protoss player take the linear third, and the Zerg player take the triangular third, which is actually kind of a opposite of what normally happens, where you have generally the Zerg wants to be kind of in that linear position because then they're a little bit less subject to drop play. And the Protoss player likes to get in that triangular position just so they're a little bit closer together. It's easier to rotate around the bases. But a Beckett is a weird map indeed. It is the shortest map in the pool by quite a bit. It is 28 seconds natural to natural. And that means that you can get away with a lot of stuff that you otherwise would not be able to do so. It's extremely popular for Zergs in ZVP for this matter, because your Roach Queen timings, your Queen walks, you can do it in such a way that the Queens almost never leave creep. They're on creep for like 80% of their waddle across the map, just because the map is so darn short. So now, well, those Adepts there from Trap. It appears that REYNOR has learned his lesson and will not take the drip damage from the Adepts early on, but realistically, it wasn't like the first 2 or the first 3 Adept timing, or the Adept attacks that worked for Trap. It was like the 4th and the 5th. The Adepts that happened once REYNOR was kind of feeling confident that he had already held it off, and then you get like 3 Adepts in the 3rd and 2 Adepts in the natural, and suddenly 20 workers are dead. Now, the 3rd base on the way. It's going to be a glaive, where it's going to be a twilight timing, but it's purely for DPS here. We don't have glaive, we don't have blink, we don't have charge, anything like that. And we have yet to see REYNOR really show his hand. He's on 49 workers. He does have a Roach Warren on the way, but that's kind of the standard timing. He does have a Hive on the way, which kind of implies that he's not going for a Queen Walk. But you can still go for that, especially if you want to go for like Roach Speed and get faster reinforcements, which honestly on this map you don't really need to, because again, rush distance is so short. The other thing I'm looking at, of course, is REYNOR has kind of building himself a 1 creep, 2 more creep highway towards Trap's 3rd base, so that may be a tell. But now we have Roaches on the way, and again, REYNOR really has not shown has really not tipped his hand just yet, or at least not tipped his hand in any way that I am really confident about, in calling. Okay, the Oracle will fly in and get 2 more workers. It's killed 5 over the course of this game, but now it will go down as the Queens find it. And now, yeah, okay, we have multiple Queens on the way here. We're going up to 9 at the very least. And maybe we will see that after all. So the lair is done. But now it's just Roaches, Queens walking across the map. This may have been a fake lair here. I mean, it is a lair. Right, the lair is real, but this may have been fake lair tech. REYNOR just trying to throw Trap off guard and say, yeah, I'm absolutely not walking Queens, when in fact he is walking Queens and Roaches and all that. Look at him, he's sitting here, he's doubling the army supply of Trap. His Queens have not had to be off creep for the majority of this game. Now Trap will see it though, because there's no good reason for those Queens to be in 2 by themselves off of creep here. So there we go. This will be fouted out, but it may be just a little bit too little, too late. So we're seeing cannons go down. We're seeing shield batteries go down. But this is not a big army. It is 3 Stalkers. It is 1 DT. It's not a lot here. It's an Immortal as well. Now notice the DTs. They're warping on in now. There is no Overlord. There's no Overseer here for Trap, or excuse me, for REYNOR to really deal with these DTs. So if Trap makes a hold, it will all be because of the DTs that are just now shelling away. Shift click on top of all of these Ravagers, knocking down the majority of the DPS of this army. Now the Queens, they are firing strong, and they're doing what they can to transfuse these Ravagers, but it looks like here for the moment Trap may have his hold. Force fields will keep the army engaged, and that's just a big deal here, because there is no observer, there is no overseer just now. Now it's finding its way on in, but this may just be a little bit too little, too late. Now the DTs, they're going to go down. Of course, there is vision of the army supply. The gap here for REYNOR, it is shrunk. What once was 30 is now 10, as the DT gets 7 workers on the other side of the map as well. Trap, he's holding it home. All the Queens are going down. Trap, he's doing damage on the other side of the map here. He's up in supply, and Trap, the game's not over yet, not by a long shot, but he's found himself an advantage here in this game 7. He was down 3-1, and now he has a puncher's chance. He has more than a puncher's chance here. In this game, he finds himself solidly in the lead after so much has happened, as REYNOR looks so dominant in those first couple of games. Trap has found his footing, and he's gonna, now it falls on him to close it out against one of the most clutch players on the planet. And that is also not a difficult feat, or excuse me, that is not an easy feat. It is insanely difficult. Now, REYNOR, maybe he's not as good at low eco situations as Dark is, but he's got that it factor, and I've seen him come back from more games than I care to count. So how does Trap decide to do this? How does he decide to leverage his advantage into something a little bit more tangible? Because right now we see REYNOR, he's up 1 worker. He's up 8 army supply. He's up 8 army supply. It doesn't look that far behind. But then we look at the fact it's just roaches. The fact that +1 is not done, +1 or +2 is halfway done here for Trap, and DTs continue to find damage, continue to find value all over the map. And because REYNOR is so far behind here, he cannot afford Overlord speed. He can't have those super mobile overseers that actually allow him to track down these DTs. Now he will get them, but not before 6 more workers go on down, not before REYNOR is forced to ping pong all over the place. And that gives Trap license to move out on the map. Maybe he doesn't even decide to get aggressive yet. Maybe he doesn't decide to go try to kill REYNOR. But at the very least, he's going to be able to remove creep from the map. He's going to be able to remove vision here for REYNOR. That makes it so much easier for REYNOR to really react to what Trap wants to do. Yes, now once again here, Trap moving out on the map. REYNOR, of course, he's either setting a big surround or a counterattack. But with these +2 blink stalkers, well, right now they're +1, but soon to be +2 blink stalkers and 3 immortals here. Trap has everything he could possibly want to deal with this army that REYNOR has brought to bear. His last-ditch effort at finding a way back into this game is now that the stalkers, they're going to blink on forward here, knocking down a bunch of Ravagers in the exchange. And yes, the Biles will land on the backside, but it's not going to be enough. The Ravagers, the Roaches, they will go on down. The 4th base will die, and yes, the 4th base of Trap. Actually, the 4th base may not even go down here. I think there's still too many Zerglings, but no, the DTs are going to be enough here to defend. The pylon goes down, but it's just a pylon. That's 100 minerals. Trap can learn to deal with that one, even if it does kind of pseudo supply block him. If the exchange is a base that is allowed to stay alive, and that is, yeah, that's absolutely a value trade here for Trap. And with these disruptors as well, he's just finding value. The blink stalkers, they're going to move on in, kill whatever they can, blink backwards once the Biles drop. And Trap, he's just building a bigger and bigger and bigger army. Disruptors now on the way as well, and honestly, Disruptors attacking through a speed zone, it's difficult to dodge, right? They get that much extra range they would not otherwise have. They get that much faster, and it just gets spooky indeed. But now Stalkers, they will find the army. Army will find the Stalkers, and the Biles will force those Stalkers back. So REYNOR, he's attempting to do what he attempted to do in the previous game, right? Where he says, look, I'm behind in this game. I understand I'm behind in this game. I need to just get I just need to get a hive. I need to get lurkers. I need to get vipers. Maybe that's going to happen. And Trap, once again, he is showing no interest in allowing that bit of greed to really happen here. So now with the Disruptors moving on in, he has an army that can really blow up chunks of the Zerg army and really start to make inroads in the position here in the territory of REYNOR's. There we go. We will start to see some creep get cleared on out here with the Observer entering the fray. Now, it's interesting that we are seeing these Zealots warp on in or run on in because charge is halfway done. But, you know, you build what you can, I guess. And it should be noted that this is a very difficult position for Trap to attack on into with just the constant bile spam that REYNOR has with this choke. I mean, it is difficult indeed, but I mean, I guess Trap, if he wants to, he can go and just try to blink on top of everything. But I don't know if he's that far ahead just yet. Disruptor shot, gonna be nice. And again, as long as these Disruptors don't go down, this is just value added for Trap. This is just him chipping away, taking superior trades. And REYNOR has lost 3,000 more resources than his opponent has. Which, in a game that REYNOR has really not been allowed to establish a 4th base, has really not been in that great of an economic position over the last 10 minutes. That actually is rather significant. So we do have these Chartlots getting ready to run by on the left-hand side. Okay, 3 Ravagers, 2 Ravagers will go on down here. And now, is this the time? No, the Disruptor shot will not land. Starks will be forced to blink on backwards. And now the Disruptor shot from the side. REYNOR has the dodge, but now Disruptor's at the front hand side here. And the Biles, they will land, but Trap has decided this is his time here. It does not really matter because he's getting damage on the 3rd base as well. So he's going to take a good fight here against the army. The Zealots are going to work 5 workers down, but more importantly, they're going to take this 3rd base out. They have +2. The army is not here in time. the third base of REYNOR. It goes on down, and now REYNOR, he's going to lose his fourth base as well. The army's on top of that. He's not going to be able to shove it free, and Trap, it looks like he's leveraged his advantage into a series victory, into a tournament victory here, as he looks on to take on down. This fourth base is not going to go down just yet. He's using it as a force field. Stark is pulling on forward. Yes, there's a blinding cloud, but it's a blinding cloud on both sides as the army here of REYNOR is going down. Trap, he's got a 30, he's got a 40 supply lead. Disruptor shots are doing what they can, but they're not going to be enough here. The third base, it's not going to be reestablished. The Roach Warren under fire, and Trap, he has done it here. Game 7, he took it all the way back. The Freak of Freaks Protoss player, he's found a victory against the greatest Zerg in the world champion in the beginning of 2021, and it was not easy. It was not without strife and struggle, but at the end of the day, Trap will be your TSL7 grand champion, taking it 4-3 against the world champion here, against REYNOR.